there's very numbers. And also on the flip side, any negative deeds are multiplied. So this is just a quick commercial for the center. So for the pujas, if you feel moved, a lot of people are really attracted to the rituals and to pujas. If you want to contribute monetarily towards the cost of the puja, that is something very meritorious. If you were interested, I'm putting together a spreadsheet of Venerable Kalden, the expenses of bringing Venerable Kalden here for like his airplane ticket, his, the car expenses and accommodation and everything. So that is something also, we've already had a couple of people very generously approach me and said, oh, how can I help out? But that's also something that if you are so moved, that's a great contribution. The center, we're part of the FPMT mandala, but FPMT doesn't support us financially at all. We actually pay dues to them every year, and they do things like help with curriculum and they do all kinds of things that are very supportive to us, but finances are not one of them. We actually pay dues to them. So everything that you see here, including the lights and the AC that is not functioning well, and I called the landlord yesterday, but those are all things that we pay for, and it's all through the generosity and kindness of the people that visit us. And all of our guest teachers, we fly them here, they're monastics. Not all of the guest teachers are monastics, but these are people that have devoted their life to spreading the Dharma. So that's not a lucrative decision in your life. So the center, we do, we pay for all their tickets and their accommodation and everything. So if you are, if you were considering wanting to do that, then today and tomorrow are great days. You can, get 10 million bang for your buck. So that was just my quick little commercial. It's such a bargain. I mean, really, how much is enlightenment worth to you?
We have more spaces here in the front. Okay, if you want to see it, yeah.
I was hoping to hide from you.
I know. I was hoping to hide from myself.
Good answer.
Yes, if you want, yes, you can put it here. But also there's a chair there. There's another chair there. Yeah, because easy. Wow. There's a chair. There's a chair there. No,
it's gonna stand for an hour and a half. Do we have some down?
Otherwise, I can use that one. Otherwise, there's a chair there.
There's down here.
There's one over there.
Oh, excuse me.
You're okay. You can go there. You remember. Then I was shopping at Publix, last year when I came here, and I didn't know any of these things, any of those. And then I come and there's this person looking at me like that. I was a bit like, okay, like I get this funny feeling wearing like these strange robes, So, and then he comes and he says, "Are you for real?" And I said, "I don't know what to say to this. If you ask if I'm a monk, yes." And he says, "Wow." Then he goes like this, and then I'm at the cashier to pay for this, and then he comes again and he says, "I'm sorry, can I do one thing?" And I was a bit like, okay. And then he just touched it like this. He says, "Yes, you are for real." I always remember that. The other day I was at a Trader's Joe in Boca as well, buying some things, and then this guy was looking at me like this, I really like with his eyes, and he says, "I am so sorry, but what are you?" And I said, I'm a Buddhist monk. And then, wow, is there a center? Is there something here? And I said, yeah, we have one in Deerfield. And then he was just like very shy. And I said, yes, and we do some things, meditation and other. And tomorrow, on Saturday, we're gonna do a deaf cafe. And he was like, what? And I said, yes, we're gonna talk about death and all of that. And he was like, wow, I like these things. And I said, okay, so yeah, so people get a bit excited or seeing this strange thing walking around. So I'm gonna do one thing called prostrations, but today we have too many people. Don't feel that you need to do anything. Just, if you want, just put your hands together here in your heart. And why we put the hands together in the heart is that for us to be happy and to not suffer, we need two things in the Buddhist path. We need compassion, love, kindness, and we need wisdom. Okay? So that's what it means, that union together in our hearts. So when people do that for you, is that they are actually putting, may you have happiness, may you be free from suffering through love, compassion, and wisdom. That's what we are doing. So when we do that for others, we're also doing that, So sometimes people do that to me. Sometimes they do like this, and I was like, oh yes, very nice. Maybe they don't know what it means, but they are doing it, right? So that is the idea. That's why we do it like this. And then we do something with our body, which means a prostration. Prostration means that we are actually trying to make our bodies receptive for what we're going to talk today, okay? Because right now we have a tendency to use our body, speech, and mind to things that not necessarily are that nice, okay? We can agree with that, right? We sometimes say things to people, we do things that are not so nice, so the body goes into habit of doing that. So prostrations is kind of like a counteracting those habits, because normally we are very full of ourselves. I know what to do and I know how to get things and all of that. So prostrations makes us humble. It's like, maybe I don't know everything, right? Which is one of the kind of like the virtues of the mind, to be able to be humble, right? Humble doesn't mean like putting yourself down, low self-esteem. No, it's knowing that what we can do good and the things that we might need to improve. Okay? So prostrations are for that. So when we're gonna do prostrations, we're gonna do something with our bodies, and we're going to do something with our speech. So we're going to chant that mantra. If it is the first time here, please don't chant at anything, don't say anything, because it's not like if it doesn't make sense, don't do it, okay? Because Buddhism doesn't work without making sense. But mantra means protection for the mind, right? And I always like to chant mantras when you are, on a kind, like when I was arriving this time, there was a huge line at customs, like huge. And I was a bit like, oh no, everybody's going to be waiting for me. And I was anxious about it. And I started chanting mantras. So I was protecting my own mind for not to get anxious, not to get kind of like, making my mind out of it. So it's just like chanting the mantra. So to remind myself to come back to the present moment. So that's the idea of the mantra, okay? But most important is that what we're going to do with our mind. So we need to prepare our minds. So we are here together today. We decided to come here. So we make sure that we're going to be able to open our hearts, like make sure that we have a relaxed mind. So we can try to talk about, ways to find happiness and ways to not suffer. That's the idea, okay? Everything in Buddhism has a meaning. All of these, I'm going to use a word that I'm probably going to be kind of like expelled by the Buddhist word, but all of these shenanigans, all of that has meaning, okay? Has a meaning, has a reason why it is that color, it is that way, everything. If we would stay here talking about it, we would never leave. But that's what we do for like kind of like, years and years of practice, okay? So we are not like, thinking that the Buddhas and our teachers are going to do the work for us, but we are getting inspired by them and say, okay, may I be able to help others by transforming my mind, open my heart. That's the idea. And we're going to, with our union of our hands together, we're going to touch first our head, on the top of our head, with the idea that may I manifest in whatever needed way, whatever ways needed to help others. May I manifest with my body, whatever ways needed to help others. May I manifest my speech in a way that is positive and helpful for others. And may I manifest my mind. Okay? Makes sense? Maybe not, but okay. So we do it together. Om Namo Manju Shriye. Namo Sushriye. Namo Uttama Shriye Soha. Om Namo Manju Shriye. Namo Sushriye. Namo Uttama Shriye Soha. Om Namo Manju Shriye. Namo Sushriye. Namo Uttama Shriye Soha. Yeah. Sit down.
I just want to say your biggest weakness is that you don't have a sense of humor.
Venerable Kalden, do you want the screen like this or?
I want to scream like this, but let's remove these.
That's what I mean.
No. So can you put it here, me on the spotlight,
Yes,
so the people online can, or maybe they want to see it like this. So just put this one on the spotlight. Yeah, they don't need to see me. Yes. Okay, very good. No.
Yes, for the recording.
For the recording. Okay. Please. Did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So welcome, 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 welcome. Who is the first time here? Like it. First time. Okay, welcome. First thing is, don't get too scared about the monk. You know, he doesn't bite, or he's just gonna say a lot of blah 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 things. So don't believe in anything he says. That's the most important teaching of the day. Don't believe in anything I say. Okay? Investigate it. Make sure that what I'm saying, it is useful for your life. Make sure that you bring it to your own reality, to your own day-to-day experiences, and check if that makes sense. But not only sense, if that helps you. Helps you in what way? To become a better human being for yourself and others. That is the goal of Buddhism. If you do that, then that's okay. Then whatever I say is going to be worthwhile. Okay? So today we're going to do some teachings, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about also what it is today. Today it's a big kind of like a what we call holy day in Buddhism. It's we celebrate the first teachings of the Buddha. Anyone knows what were the first teachings of the Buddha?
Four Noble Truths.
The Four Noble Truths. So the Four Noble Truths means that, so the Buddha was a king, okay, well, the son of the prince. He was the son of a king, the son of a very, like, you know, kind of like special king in what now it's the northeast of India, okay, 2,600 years ago, okay? So that is like before Christ, okay? So because we are in the word 2025, so it was 600 years before that. So the Buddha was just someone that was like that very, very cared and loved person, because he was the main how do you say that, he was going to get to be the next king. How did, yes, so he was supposed to be the next king. So the when he was born, his father asked people to come and like check, you know, the well the holy man at that time, to check what was going to happen with his son. And they said he has two options: either he's going to become a very big king, or he's going to become a very special spiritual teacher. And his dad was like, no way, he's becoming a king, right? He's definitely becoming my macho man son who's going to take care of, you know, of my kingdom after me. So he was raised like that. He was raised with that intention to really, really, really find ways to kind of like become a great king. However, he didn't want that. he was not really happy. So he was living the life that we have now. You know, we have the life of kings and queens, if we think about it. We want food, tick, 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 boom, delivery. No? So there he would go like, hello, food, and then someone will come. Almost the same, no? So he used to kind of like have a lot of kind of, oh, I'm bored. What do I want to do? Oh, let's have a party. Okay, so they would make a party. Oh, let's have an exercise. Oh, let's do exercise. Let's have these. Let's have that. Just like us. No? Now we have Netflix or Instagram. Same, right? So he was living a life that was full of pleasures, full of possibilities, full of things to help him fulfill his wishes. But he was still not happy. Maybe just like us, right? That have we have everything, but there's always something missing. Or we are always kind of like worried about maybe we're gonna lose it, what we have, right? Either the family, either the house, the car, or the subscription of whatever Amazon Prime or whatever that you have, that you might kind of like, oh my God, I need to accumulate points. Nowadays about these things about points, miles, so many things. So what happens is that we are not happy. We are not fulfilled, even though we have everything, just like the Buddha. So the Buddha decided to go out of this world. So he abandoned his kingdom and he went to meditate and to learn about how to find happiness within himself. So he, in that time, can you imagine in India 2,600 years ago, there was a lot of kind of like people very interested in different types of, meditation was something that existed already. So he was learning, but he went into a teacher that said you cannot eat or drink or anything. So he was just like starving for like almost 6 years. There's these, I don't know if we have here.
We don't do it.
No, it's like, it's kind of like all his ribs were, like you could see, like he was just, and then there's this beautiful story that someone came to him and offered him curd, which is like yogurt. And when he saw that, he said, if I am too weak to actually think and to really use my body, my speech in order to help others, there's no meaning in that. So he took that curd and he started to then what we call to have food at least only once a day because that was enough for him. So he started to eat again. Okay, so he found the middle path in things. It was not about starving. It was not about eating, like a double burger with cheddar and this, and like do you want to make it extremely big or
Supersize.
super size or whatever? Yes, 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 not like this. Okay, so he didn't have that. So he just found that. But then he said, I am still not finding happiness. I still need to find happiness. So he went under the Bodhi tree, which now is in one place called Bodhi Gaya in India. And he said, I'm going to stay here until I find the truth. And the truth lies within me. So he stopped looking outside. So then he went into these meditative kind of like layers. And what he actually found was he recognized his true nature, his true essence, which is very different from the experience that we have about ourselves. Right? So that was it. Simply, he just observed how things were, observed his own mind. So he just realized his true essence. That's very important because that means that the Buddha didn't invent anything. He just observed. He's just like a scientist of the mind. No, that's what science does. They just observe reality and find an understanding of it. So that is the same thing. So that's why it's so important in Buddhism that we use our logic and our reasoning and not blind faith. No such thing as blind faith here. It doesn't work. Why? Because I can be here saying, oh, yes, meditating is so good and, it's so nice, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't change anything to you if you don't do it yourself. Right? Makes sense? That is the essence of the Buddhist teachings. So then he found that truth within himself and he said, how I'm going to do it? How I'm gonna kind of like share these with others? So he stayed 12 days, they say, they say 12 days, they say 49 days, just thinking how I'm gonna do that, how I'm gonna, spread those teachings. Not but he wants to spread, how I can communicate it to help others. So there was these 5 monks that used to do like to be with him, with his previous teacher, that saw him and said, dude, you look shining, like you did something amazing. What is going on? They could notice that there was something shifted in him. So they asked him for teachings. And then he said, so what should I teach? So he thought the methodology or the framework in order to find your own inner truth, which is the Four Noble Truths. They like numbers in the Buddhism. It's just a set of kind of like, let's say, steps or a methodology that helps you to build up from where you are at. Okay, so that's why the Four Noble Truths is called the truth of suffering. Yes, I know. Can you imagine the first thing you do it after your enlightenment, you start to talk about suffering? But that was the way that he wanted us to start observing and realizing where we are at. Because if we don't think we are suffering, we are not going to want to find a solution. Well, we don't want to find a spiritual path, right? We don't want to go within. We can continue going outside and, supersizing everything and, like, buying everything in Amazon Prime and, trying to be happy. So that was the main aspect of his teachings in the topic of the First Noble Truth, understanding what suffering really means, right? So that was when he started to say, okay, suffering is all the things that we kind of like don't have and we want, right? And all of the type of suffering that we have when we actually have something that we want but goes away. No, we can see that this is suffering in some ways. Yesterday we have the Death Cafe. How like suffering it is when we actually lose those that we love. But that is life. It's just part of life. So it was the idea to bring us closer and closer to reality. So then, okay, so then he talks about suffering. So that was not very nice. But then he said, don't worry. If there is suffering, it means that there is a cause for suffering. So that is the second noble truth. The causes for suffering. And the causes for our suffering, he said, are mainly two. The first one is that the ones that we know the best. They are called negative emotions, disturbing emotions. Do you know anything like that? Like something called attachment. Have you heard about it? Yes. Yes, attachment. Like I want and I want it now and I want it forever and I want close to me and everything that is going to harm it. It's bad, right? Or anger. You guys maybe don't know anger, but like sometimes I get angry when I don't have my raisins for my breakfast. This is Jack. I was making fun of Jack with that. Last year he said that we have a very good conversation. But that is, we get angry with minor little things, isn't it? Tiny things. And anger is like a big word. We think like anger is like, oh, violence, Rebecca was telling me that she works in a hospital and she sees a lot of people shot, right? Like, and then of course some of these are just accidents, but some of them are because someone got very angry, right? So we are not talking about only that type of anger. We hope that here we have some sort of control of that type of anger. But how about frustration, irritation, right? Or even another type of anger, which is called low self-esteem, depression, which is an anger that is not turned outwards, but inward, right? These are all nuances I love this word. I learned this word last year, so I'm trying to use it again. Nuance. It's very nice word. You know, of kind of like colors, like a palette, you know, the different palettes of different of anger. So they are all the same family, anger. So these are what we call disturbing emotions, right? So they disturb our peace of mind. Makes sense? If you are angry, you're not happy. If you are attached, thinking that you need to have that object, that person, that money, whatever, you are not happy, right? Makes sense? So, but the thing is that that will be already bad, that they take out our peace of mind when we are under the influence of these negative emotions. But we are habitual beings. What does it mean? It means that the more we kind of uh, feed mental states, the more habitual we get, and the more we do them again and again and again and again. We just get the habit of reacting in that same way again and again and again. You know, I think most of you have come maybe to a conclusion at some point in your life that said, oh my God, I'm here again in the same situation. You understand what I mean? It's like, even though the person is different, or, you know, it's a certain, like something completely different, but you're just like, again, you know? Or, you know, I don't know, maybe you have someone in your life that is very kind to you and it's saying you're like, you know, always pushing your buttons, and then you're always reacting in the same way. You know that, right? So this is just habits, or what we call actions that we do because we are under the influence of these negative emotions. That we're not going to go in there today, but that kind of like habitual tendencies, these habitual actions that we do, we call them karma. Big word in Buddhism. But normally karma, what we do, karma, we say someone, you know, is like there's these videos, someone sent it to me on I can't remember where, on YouTube or something, called instant karma, right? It's like people that are like driving, you know, and then they start to scream at someone else, and then they boom. They kind of like, you know, they have an accident, or, you know, they are kind of like getting something, and then the police comes in, and they call this instant karma, right? Why? Because karma, we think that like someone got what they deserve, isn't it? That's what we do. But others, not us. If that happens to us, it's like, why that happened to me, right? Isn't it? That's what it is. We kind of like, we are just thinking, why did it happen to me? It's just because we don't understand. We don't understand the actions. We are not aware of our actions, but we are also not aware of the negative emotions behind them, right? So this is what the Buddha said are the causes for suffering. So then he came and he said, okay, I'm just going to stop there and then let you guys suffer. No, he didn't say that. He said, well, if there are causes, there is a cessation, an elimination of these causes. There is a possibility of eliminating them. And if you eliminate and completely get rid of them, they don't come back again. And therefore, you can be happy ever after. Makes sense? That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
So what did he say? He said, well, we need to first understand the two aspects that are kind of like making us suffer. One, it's understand the causes of suffering. So we need to have a look on how our minds work when we are under the influence of the negative emotions, and how we stop habitual negative patterns, right? And how we can develop the good qualities that we already have. More than that, first we need to actually realize we have good qualities. Because I have to say to you that what is actually coming more and more to me is not so much about the realizing we have negative tendencies. It is actually realizing that we are also good people. We also have good aspects without pride, without kind of like superiority, just raw understanding of your own good potential. That is the basis of Buddhism, which sometimes is so different than other philosophies that makes us feel that we are sinners from the beginning, right? Buddhism doesn't have that. Buddhism is going to say to you, if you check deep down, you're going to see that the basis of your movement, your actions of body, speech, mind is actually one. You want to be happy. That's it. That is why you are doing everything that you are doing. Not because you're a bad person, not because you are, kind of like selfish by nature. No, because the selfishness, the bad aspects, they are just because we are ignorant or we are confused on how to find that happiness. Why? Because we are going supersize me. We are going outside looking for it. So the Buddhist path is a path that goes inside and try to connect with this true essence of ourselves. And then from that, we can develop and really increase the good qualities, and we can eliminate the negative ones. That is then the Four Noble Truths, the truth of the path. Because the Buddha said, don't worry, there is this, but there's a path. And there is a path with a lot of kind of like detailed explanations, and you turn here and right there, and you do that and this. It's a very kind of like, structured path. So that is what the Buddha taught. And all of the teachings that he taught are based on that. These Four Noble Truths. So we, 2,600 years later, we are here listening to the same teachings. It's very incredible, I think, right? It's very special for me. When I decided to become a monk, one of the things that when I took ordination first with the first set of vows was my teacher Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then with the Dalai Lama. I remember His Holiness said something at the last ordination. He said, "It's incredible that 2,600 years after the Buddha, you in the 21st century, we know the group of people who are taking ordination, you are still doing it, right? It's incredible. We don't have so many of these authentic lineages, as we say. That is very special. So that it was the idea of the Buddhist path, right? So that's why today we celebrate that. We're gonna kind of like celebrate those teachings that has been done, that has been kind of like going on for 2,600 years ago. So we're gonna do a puja. A puja means like aspirational prayers, let's say like that. That's what a puja means. A puja means that we're gonna kind of like the Buddha had the intention to help us, as we said, 2,600 years ago. But if we don't do anything about it, then there's not much he can do for us, right? He cannot just come and like say, oh yes, you can be free from anger. It doesn't happen like this. But then it's not like Harry Potter, blah, blah, blah. Not like this, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. What it happens is that it needs to be done from our side as well. There's that joke of that guy who was like, there's a flood. I'm very bad to say because of what happened in Texas, very sad. But but there was a flood, and this guy goes up to the ceiling of the house, to the roof of the house, and then there's kind of like someone comes with a boat and say, come, I'll save you. And says, no, 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 no. I'm waiting because like someone is gonna, like the mighty force, the God, whatever you want to call it, the Buddhas are gonna help me, right? And then there's a helicopter and all of that and all of these. And he says, no, 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 it's gonna. And then he just, the water comes up and he dies. And then he comes and he says, come on, I prayed for you every single day, Well, where were you? And he said, well, I was there in the boat, I was there in the helicopter, I was there everywhere, So the Dalai Lama says, prayers, it's by themselves are not enough, but they are helpful to make our minds moistured, right? We're gonna moisture. Yeah, makes sense.
Moisten. Moisten.
Moisten.
I like that.
That means to get wet. That means to get wet.
Yeah, okay. So it's like we gotta kind of like moisten,
Yes.
moisten our minds with the Dharma, because right now we are not. Well, now we are on buying, going outside, looking for things outside as happiness. So when we're gonna do these prayers, we are kind of like making our minds with that intention, right? That is the goal. So it's, as I say, it's a matching kind of like idea. The Buddha wants to help us. Now we want to help ourselves. So we need to make aspirations for that. So that's what the puja and prayers are for. Prayers in Buddhism are very different than that idea of like, please do something for me. No, it's like, I want to do something for myself. Inspire me, make sure that I have, the necessary conditions, and I will create that, right? It's just an inspiration. So when we see our teachers and we see all of these incredible aspects and like statues, and it's just as an inspiration for the potential that we can be. Can you imagine? Each of us have the potential to, after 2,600 years, be helping others to find happiness, love, peace, kindness. We do have nothing different. The Buddha and us, nothing different. Besides the point that we are still contaminated, we are still controlled by these negative emotions, by these habitual tendencies. Just that. The Buddha is someone that is free from that. That's what we call liberation, right? We talk about liberation in Buddhism. Liberation from what? From our own crazy minds, right? That's what we kind of like, we try to do it here in Buddhism. So for those that are coming for the first time, welcome. That is what we're trying to do here. Okay? So, I think we need to do prayers, no? So we always start with prayers in a way to guide our intention. Okay? So we do that in a way that we want to guide our intention towards those mindsets. Oh yeah, I can have it here so I can see it here. Okay. So what we're gonna try to guide our intention to, in open our hearts to help others. Why? Because right now, when we are thinking about our daily lives, there is one person that is the most important person. Me, myself, and I, right? Me, 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 me. It's the new song from Taylor Swift. Then it's very important that we understand that just thinking about myself actually doesn't bring me happiness, doesn't make me happy. But thinking about others, it's when we start to really feel not only useful, because I think that Buddhism is much more than feeling useful, but actually feeling that my life has purpose, because I can do something for others and I can help them to be happy. There's nothing more beautiful for me than wanting and seeing others to shine their own goodness, right? Shine their own light. That's how we can actually have a peaceful world, a loving world. Like helping others to find their own happiness, find their own light, their own peace. The Dalai Lama always says to pray for peace and don't do anything doesn't work. Okay? So this is to help us first thinking about these things, because now we are not thinking so much. So that is why we do these prayers as an aspiration. Okay? So feel free to join. If you're not, you can just sit down and kind of like think about, okay, may I be able to, take something of this blah, blah, blah that this monkey is saying and do something that it might be beneficial. Okay? With that in mind, we can do the prayers together. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. This is very special, no? If you think about it. We are here, 35, 45 people, thinking, may all beings be happy. If we do that every day, everybody does that every day in the world before they go out, into life. Can you imagine how this would be? Because this starts to create a habit in our minds. So when we go to work, when we go to drive, when we go anywhere, we have that embed in our minds, right? So when we have someone that is like, we start to say, may this person be happy. May this person be free from suffering. May this person not like, like suffer from kind of like not finding joy. May this person be able to not have these enemies and attachment to friends and that division of my friends and my enemies. Can you imagine? Just by thinking like this, we can change ourselves and our lives. So now we're going to take refuge, and taking refuge means that we it's not something new. It's not a Buddhist thing. Everybody takes refuge. We take refuge every single day, every moment of our lives. The problem is that the refuge we take, it's called Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, burrito from Casamaya, the restaurant here, So that's where we take refuge, our refuge. Oh, I'm feeling, lonely. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling like this. Then what do I go? I go somewhere, outside to get refuge, from that discomfort. And to be honest, the more we get used to find refuges and faster we go to these refuges, the harder it becomes for us to deal with discomfort, right? And discomfort is part of life. We're not going to have everything that we want all the time, everywhere, anywhere. Everywhere, yeah, whatever. So that is important. So here, when we say we're going for refuge, we are going to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha as aspirational ideas of like the Buddha is someone that has done what? Has understood the truth and can help us to get there. Not that he's the savior. No. The Dharma is just the teachings, right? It's just like a methodology that I want to use. But as I said, the methodology is not outside. It's an inner methodology. So you need to do the job. And the Sangha is just those beings that just like us are wanting to do that. And they are just, helping us to fulfill that, right? So that is the idea. And when we say enlightenment, that word enlightenment, nothing is nothing more of what we already said. The mind that is free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and a mind that is full of good qualities. That's it. That's enlightenment. It's not something out there, not something kind of like spooky, or like, oh yeah, the Dalai Lama or someone else has it and I don't have it. Where can I find it? It's like, have it in here. You just need to do your job, right? That's it. So that is the idea. And we say all of this. Why do I want to be free from my suffering, and why do I want to perfect my qualities? Because I want to be useful for others. I want to stop harming others. I want to stop, kind of like creating more suffering for others. And I want to be able to help them to be happy and be free from suffering. Makes sense? Sounds I don't know, Buddhism is very logical for me. It's just like, yeah, okay, that I can do it. And you don't need to do kind of like, you can be a Christian and Buddhist, it's just like a Buddhism is the framework, as I like to say. The word Buddhist means Ngangpa in Tibetan. The word Ngangpa means inner being. What does it mean? It means that the way, the methodology, the framework that you're going to use in order to find happiness and ways to not suffer is going inside. It's just turning the focus instead of like outside, being lost, but you're going inside. That's it. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. So have that, try to understand that the refuge we take right now doesn't fulfill, its goal to find us happiness and to be free from suffering. Actually, the more we refuge ourselves into, you know, Instagram and Netflix and food and drinking and whatever, the more we suffer actually. We want to change that, and for that, we're going to do these aspirational prayers. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Very good. Okay, now we can start the class. So, what did we talk about last week? Anyone remember? Huh? Attachment. Yes, we talked a little bit about attachment, which is something that we don't know. But I had to introduce, attachment. So today we're going to talk about the opposite of attachment. Now we're going to talk about what happens when attachment doesn't get what it wants. Anyone knows what happens when we don't get what we want? Huh? Yes, but how do we react to it? Ah. So, I'm going to talk about anger, which probably none of you know it. So, so it's okay. I'm very sorry that I have to introduce it, but it's very important because anger, as we say, is the most extreme negative force in the entire world. There's nothing, Lama Yeshe used to say, much more than an atomic bomb, it's a mind of anger. Because it's the mind of anger that will destroy all the peace and happiness that we have created, and it can destroy the peace of happiness that others have created as well. Isn't it? Think about it. The mind of anger is just something that is extremely powerful in a negative way, right? So anger, when we are under the control of anger, we are not, like on a beach holiday, we are suffering, aren't we? We are kind of like, wow, that feeling. But normally we don't feel like that. Normally we justify ourselves for feeling angry, isn't it? No, but this person did that to me, but I didn't start it. She said that, he said that, blah, 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 blah. Well, if my boss shouldn't have said this to me, well, of course I'm angry, isn't it? So we kind of like indulge in anger, isn't it? Until we don't realize that anger is a mind that is creating suffering for ourselves, we're not going to give up on it, right? Unfortunately, nowadays, there's a lot of people saying that we should like express our anger. Don't hold it in, just kind of like just express it. But as we saw, the more we do that, the more we create the habit of doing it. Even if it is to go outside and scream or get the pillow, you're still creating that habit. So maybe we don't have the pillow, we have someone in front of us and we might scream or kind of like, punch the pillow, whatever people do it nowadays. So these, not what Buddhism is talking about. But Buddhism is not talking about, how do we say, suppressing, repressing anger. Be careful, because normally when people start, they start to think that this is what Buddhism is talking about. No, we are not talking about suppressing. We are not talking about repressing anger. We are talking about understanding anger. So that means that the manifested emotion is already there. You understand what I mean, the manifested the emotion? It means that you're going to be able to recognize and to understand anger when anger is there. If you are trying to avoid it, like, and pretend that you don't feel that, no. And especially Buddhist and, Buddhist people, they kind of like sometimes they put the cape of compassionate and perfect beings, the monks, especially, some monks. So, you put like this and you say, no, I don't feel like, actually anger, it is so natural to us. As I say, it's effortless, isn't it? Like someone says, something to you that you don't like, it just comes. You're driving, especially in Florida, very funny driving, just like boom, immediately comes out, right? Or someone does something to someone that you like, and you become angry. Or someone does something, say something about your house, maybe like someone is there, Bob, and I say, Bob, your house is very ugly. Then kind of like comes up, He's not even at home. Bob is a friend. So you say that like immediately anger comes up, right? And anger does what? It completely projects into the situation, into the person, into the object, negativity, right? It can be our friend, our partner, our, like, family member, whatever it is, someone that has been kind, it is kind to us, is helpful to us, is nice to us. That moment, that person is, isn't it? That moment, if you really recognize the moment when you're angry, the way you are seeing that object, that situation, that person, it is the worst person in the world. There's no qualities whatsoever. Why? Because we're just exaggerating. That's what the mind of anger is. It's an exaggeration. It's just completely a manifestation, a projection, right? Of our idea, because that person has been mean to me, for me. So it's a very selfish emotion. It's only worried about me, 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 me. Think about it. When we are angry, we are not even seeing the person in front of us, right? And the worst comes when something happens and we don't do anything. We pretend that we are like, okay, and all of that. And we continue angry. And then we keep on that loop of like a cow. How did it
Ruminating.
ruminating? Yes, I'm not the angry thought. And you are there. The person is living their lives happy ever after, and you are there with that taste of anger in your mouth. Do you recognize that? That we do that? Yes.
There's an expression for that, taking up residence in your head or something.
Taking up residency.
Rent free.
Living rent-free in your head.
Living rent free in your head. Yes, I like that. That is exactly what it is, right? And if you think about it, it's just affecting negativity, us, right? It is. Anger affects us first in a negative way. So that is why it's so important that we start to recognize its negative aspect. It's like if you have any type of addiction. If you have an addiction, if you don't see it as bad, you're not going to change, right? Why should I change if it's working, right? That's how it goes. But it might work in that moment, because maybe we got what we want, but we hurt someone, we created, a habit of exploding, and we are not well. So what happens is that we start to go into that loop and we start to kind of like, and even when we are angry, the body gets affected. Immediately we can see, we get kind of like tense, we get like, tight, all of these. So anger is just not good in any way, physically, emotionally, psychologically, so sociologically, a social thing. No, no good in anger. But we need to understand that. And of course, very easy, maybe like, oh, I can see most of you saying, yes, yes, yes. But then what changes? You know, if you don't actually do something about it. If you don't actually use that understanding, that's why we talk about understanding and not about repressing, not about suppressing, not about acting it, but realizing when anger is there and say, oh, I can see what Calden is saying now. I can see how it is, negative to me. So that is the first point. We need to understand how it is disturbing our mind. That's why it's called a disturbing emotion. That is what is called, a negative emotion. In that way, it is negative. Okay, so this is the first thing. So, but okay, now we recognize, we understand the negative aspect of anger, and now what, right? And now what do I do with that? So negative emotions, the best way that we can deal with them is trying to counteract with what we call an opponent emotion. So what are the opponent emotions for anger?
Patience.
Compassion, patience, kindness,
Patience and emotion.
space,
Is patience an emotion?
patience. It's a type of emotion. Yes, yes, yes. It can be. Or love. No. So what we need to do is that we need to literally put an effort to understand, to first recognize anger, So you start to watch your body, you start to watch your mind getting a bit like agitated, you start to kind of like smell, almost anger, I have a friend that he uses funny words to describe his emotions. So he's kind of like funny names. It's just like, I don't know, John, So it's like, ooh, John is coming, So you can recognize, because there's a almost kind of like a set of uh, characteristics, right? That you, when you become angry, it's like, even, you can, especially, I don't know if you have brothers or sisters, but like my brothers are the best to see and make fun of me, because they push the button and they know, and they're like, ha ha ha, So it's what we do in the monasteries. Living in the monastery is super fun. It's just like we're all the time making sure that we can kind of like push the buttons so everybody can see the anger, the attachment, and all of that, and then use it for training, right? So what we do is that then we recognize it and we understand the negative aspect of it. So just understanding it and say, oof, if I go down this rabbit hole, I know what is going to happen is not a good one, right? Sometimes just doing that is not enough. So what do? You try to counteract with emotions and positive emotions. So you try to be patient. So patient means understanding the other person and say, wait a minute, this person, maybe they are in a bad day, they're not in a good way. Maybe, they kind of like, they are worried about something. Maybe they didn't receive what they want. Maybe you just kind of talk to yourself, literally. Because self-talk, we all know, the narrator inside of the head that is always there, you recognize that? So use it, these aspects of your own mind, to at least do something useful with it, something positive with it, right? Once it's there, give the monkey mind, as we say, something useful to do it. Just like, okay, so then talk about good things. So you talk about, you say, oh yes, maybe this person, wait a minute, well, this person didn't do that, but why am I so angry about this? I haven't. And then gratitude, very special mindset. You start to think, but I have so many good things and these and that, and it's okay if I don't have right now the super size me burger, and I can have, like a little salad, and that's okay. So you just start to kind of like counteract your own negative mental states because they are completely the opposite. So they cannot live together. It's like the sun and the moon. If one is there, the other cannot be, right? So that is the idea. We counteract because the mind cannot be a little bit angry and a little bit like compassion. It does feel like that because it goes very fast, but at the moment, in each present moment, we can only be feeling and expressing one emotion. Okay? It's like the idea of like, well, I can hear and look, but to be honest, what you are doing on a very kind of like more detailed way is that your attention is either in the seeing and then in the is interchanging every millisecond, microsecond. You guys that don't know me, I'm inventing many words. I have a lot of fun, you know. I'm sorry for that. I'm very bad English, so that's what it comes. So then what happens is that it comes like very fast. So the more we actually remember, we said we are habitual people. The more we habituate our minds with positive ones, the easier it becomes to come, to reach out for it. So that's why people ask me, when is the best time to meditate and to think about these things? You know, and I say, every day. But then if you can't, the good days. And they say, what? And I say, yes, because the good days, you are more relaxed. So you're habituating your mind easier because there's not so much distractions of the negative, because the negative emotions are very strong. So normally they want to be in the center of attention. So what you do, you just kind of like, you know, habituate. Because when the bad days come, don't worry, they will come. You already habituate yourself. Because sometimes when you are just too strong, it's very hard. So what do we do when it is too hard for us? Some aspects of it that I love, you know, that I think is very important. If it is too much in a situation, you're having an argument with someone, just walk away. You know that? Just say to the person, I need to go to the toilet. We're going to continue fighting in a minute. Just go to the toilet, just splash some water, some deep breath. That's it. Enough. Why? Because you realize you're getting angry, you realize the negative effect of it, and you realize that you're going to end up saying or doing something and habituating your mind in a way that you don't want. It's being wisely selfish. You're taking yourself out of a situation to make sure that you don't create that habitual tendency, right? So there's this 8th century. I used to say 7th century, but it's like 700 is actually 8th century, right? Very bad. So 8th century teacher from India, he used to say, if you don't know what to do, stay as a piece of wood. You know? Say that. Don't do anything. Maybe you cannot go away. You know, you cannot walk away. So then, but just stay there. Don't do anything. Just think about something else, you know, like the birds, like, you know, just do something that will take your mind out of it. Another thing that you can do. So you like the name of the class is Buddhist Tips for Life. So I'm giving all of these tips. Okay. The other one is, do you know, it's called asking for help. Very difficult to do when we're angry. Because angry, normally we are in that kind of, how to say, defensive mode, right? So counteracting the defensive mode is doing what? Asking for help. So overcoming our pride, because the pride is what got hurt, you know, when he didn't get what he wanted, or someone said I'm ugly or fat or whatever, you know, that got like touched. So what do? You counteract it with saying, please help me. You know, I'm just getting angry and I don't know what to do. Ask for a hug. Very difficult. That moment to show vulnerability. But it's when you show vulnerability that very inherent, very kind of like strong idea that is manifesting in your mind of badness goes away. Okay? Or when you feel that you're starting to get that, you just say, okay, I'm starting to get angry. Can we talk about it in a like later? If not, just try to, in a loving, kind way, try to express it. It's not easy. I'm not saying all of these things that I'm saying is easy, okay? I'm just saying here, there are ways. They are other ways. Why is it hard? Because of habitual tendencies. Habitual tendencies, by definition, are not inherently, are not fixed. That means they can be changed. That means they depend on effort. So that is important, that you don't think that, oh yes, he's there because he lives in the monastery, the top of the mountain, and then everything's easy over there. Some people come to say to me, and I say, oh yeah, come to me with the monastery. You're gonna find everything you find out there, here, there. Exactly the same. Even worse. Because as my teacher, Lama, she used to say, you think when you become a monk, oh, you're gonna wear these strange clothes and shave your head and everything's gonna be gone. The opposite. Because we take vows to not do certain things. And then the mind becomes even more wild, right? Because you're telling them, no, you're not gonna go for refugee in Netflix, in Instagram, in burger size me. You're gonna look in your mind. So you need to have tools. That is why what I'm doing is trying to give tools so you can use it in yourself. So that is the beauty of Buddhism. It's not something that is just one thing, right? It's not just like black and white. Oh yeah, it's just like, no, you use it, whatever it is that you have in that moment, to get out of the mind of anger. That is the goal. That is the intention, right? For me, drinking water. Water immediately suits me because I'm very fiery, as you all can see, blah, 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 all over the place. So I'm just like, I drink some water, and that immediately just goes like, oh, okay. And then just breathe, and then I can kind of like remember, oh yes, wait a minute, there's a person in front of me suffering. I'm gonna add more suffering to their suffering. I'm gonna try to really, if I cannot harm them, it's already okay. If I can just not say something spiteful, or that's already okay. If I can just not punch them in the face, that's okay, right? But if I can even try to help them, right? Because if someone is being mean to me, it's because they are not okay, right? Let's face it, we do the same. Why we are mean to others? Because we are under the influence of anger. We are believing that this person is the problem. We are believing that this person has done something bad to us. So we are just the object of the anger of this person. And because this person might not know what we are now know about the emotion anger, right? So they're just reacting to their habitual tendencies. Come on. That's it. That is why, kind of like understanding Buddhism, you not only understand yourself, but you understand everything, everybody. Because we are exactly the same in this way. But the reason why we get triggered is different, because we habituated our minds differently. If someone calls me, I don't know, fat, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, that angers me, But maybe if someone says, oh, you're like this, oh, that doesn't anger me, because that's just habitual tendencies, right? But it's exactly the same. So if someone is doing that to you, you need to realize that, this is coming from their habitual tendencies. So they are suffering. So what can I do to help this person, right? What can I do to make sure that this person is free from that mind of anger? That is going a step further, right? That is just not talking about us, but going a step further. Okay? So that is very important that we try to kind of like really use, because if we think about it, the people that make us angry and like that makes us feel anger, our best friends. Because if we do this work, if we want to improve ourselves, if we want to train our mind to actually counteract and be able to like really transform our minds, then the more we recognize the anger, the better we can train, right? Isn't it? So also another beautiful way to thinking is like, wow, this person is actually quite precious. There was a teacher in the 9th century that he had this dreadful like assistant. And everybody was like, why are you with this person? And the teacher said, he's my main teacher of patience. I need him, People are like, wow, okay. Because he was like, now it's everybody complaining, and that's my biggest teacher, right? Because it helps us to learn from ourselves. Another thing that I wanted to say is that yesterday we talked about death. And also thinking about death helps us to let it go of anger. Why? Let's say that we're going to die, or this person is going to die, especially loved ones, right? Do you want to spend the rest of your day, especially when you're already in that, when you catch yourself coming back to that topic again and again throughout a day or two, or maybe years or whatever, that we are able to do it. Just think about it. That's how you want to use your life. That's how you want to kind of like spend your time. I don't know. I always think that if you really think about death, you just make things a little bit more relaxed, right? So death is also a good antidote. So that's what I'm saying. All of these things that I'm giving is antidotes, tools for you to use it, right? So that is very, very important. So understanding antidotes, these are the ways that we can do to help ourselves and even possibly help others. So the more we decrease the anger within ourselves, the less we harm others, and the more we have space and time to actually help them. Okay? So that was the idea. So now you guys are gonna go into small little groups and talk about anger. So I would like you to talk about, we have 15 minutes, so it's not too much. So maybe 12, we can do it. So you guys gonna go into maybe groups of 4, yes? Groups of 4. The online people already started running away, yes. So you guys can go into groups of 4 and talk about, especially if you came together, don't be together, because you already know each other. So what can you recognize that, like, can you recognize anger first? Can you recognize things that actually make you angry? And can you see the negative aspect of it? Can you read it? Like now what you just said, can you just say, wow, now I understand how anger can actually be. So first is just recognizing the negative aspect of anger. Okay? Go for it.
All right.
We're just one group, right?
Yeah. Hi, Tally.
Morning.
Okay. Somebody go first.
Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off my camera because I'm getting ready to leave here, but I can hear you.
Okay. Would you like to go first?
I can go first.
Great.
So thinking about anger, so I'm here in Brazil with my family, right? And there's like many different situations that I'm putting myself through that normally I don't have to encounter them on my daily life. And I noticed that like many things make me upset about the behavior of my parents sometimes, and it's their business, but it's just something that comes up. And I noticed that when I let myself be dragged away by that anger, what happens that I totally lose connection with their humanity immediately. You know what I mean? Because I'm just looking at the imperfections, at the defects, but I don't look at the good things that I should be focusing on. I think that's what I want to share.
Thank you.
I find that my anger is really subtle. It's like a disturbance. So I don't necessarily experience anger today the way I experienced anger before. But what I'm recognizing from Kalden's teaching today is the subtle nature in which I become impatient. and express that, and then take away the humanity of the circumstance.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
hi, Esther.
Hi. Yeah, no, I just wanted to tell you like what happened to me about like a few days ago in my work environment. Is that I was starting to feel like what Venerable Kalden said about like recognize the anger coming, and then I got that opportunity to do this, to just leave. The person was very rude, was being very rude, and she was not even in the conversation, but she just interrupted us and was very rude towards me because of the comment I made. And then I realized that I was started like feeling a little like the anger coming, like John coming or whatever, whoever was coming. And then I just started thinking for a minute and left the place. And that was the best thing I could do, because knowing this person, I know that and me getting angry could escalate things. So I just left and the things died there. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I was very happy with myself, to be honest, that I was able to do that.
He did say that, didn't he? That we need to give ourselves credit sometimes.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Years ago, I would not like be able maybe to do it when the anger would come. I had that necessity of answering back. But now I've been realizing how things have been changing, like practicing. Um, yeah, some tips are very good, actually.
Mhm.
I think I agree with what Hernan and Bob and everyone and Esther are saying, that it's very escalating, and there's something about anger that it gets very quickly to the point where you are blocking out somebody's humanity or other people's humanity. Anger just wants to assert itself. That seems to me that's what it wants to do. It wants to assert itself over somebody else. And for me, yeah, it's been an issue. It's a lot better now. I have to say that the practices have helped a great deal. There's a lot of anger in my family also. Like some people have been mentioning, there are situations that go back years. There are grievances that people have nursed over the years. So it's work. Just keep working on it.
It's a lot of work, right? Every day.
Exactly. Especially in a culture that seems to just reinforce it everywhere, like our social media and the news cycle, all the algorithms, everything is kind of designed to trigger grievances and outrage.
That's right. So many
Gary?
hate, right? So much hate.
And
Sorry.
and justification.
Right.
Everybody thinks that there's a justification for acting out of anger. But then I know for me, I really relate to everybody, what everybody has said. It made me think of different aspects of my relationship with anger over the years, and it has shifted. And now I'm to the point where, of course, I'm still a work in progress, but it's incredibly exhausting to be angry.
Yeah.
And to express your anger and to be, I mean, it's just, it's just draining. And now luckily I'm at a stage in my life where I don't know whether I have the mindset that keeps me from really going there a lot, or whether I'm just worn out from years of acting out, being really attached to my anger, feeling justified in my anger, feeling, now it's just not even worth it. It's not worth it to go there. It's not worth it to pay it its due. It's so I guess you live and learn. And Bob, what you mentioned, like the little subtleties, there's so many different types of anger. Like an annoyance is an anger.
Absolutely.
Being annoyed, just being vaguely annoyed at something, that's anger.
And also understanding where the anger is coming from. There's so many places in our journeys and along our journeys that can be the spark that initiates that whole range of anger, from slight annoyance, to real anger. So it's about really trying to find the source of our anger.
To stored anger in the form of resentment.
Oh yeah. For blame.
Has a lot of power.
Huge.
Excuse me.
It helps
And actually no power.
That takes our power away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What were you
It
gonna
helps
say?
for me. It helps to see it as a form of suffering, like in the Buddhist framework. That's really helped me.
Yeah.
It is the result of ignorance and not seeing things as they are, not understanding the true nature of things. So it has helped me to really understand when somebody's anger flares up, or my own, that it is suffering, that is activated, and that helps me kind of take a step back from it and just either compassion or just let it.
Yeah, that's a good way of acknowledging somebody else that comes at you. If someone's coming at you with their anger, not reacting and kind of ricocheting back to them, just realizing, wow, they've got some stuff going on, and they are suffering.
This is
But if
what has
somebody
been helping me too, regarding this colleague, that thinking that she must be going through like difficult times, or it's something in her, So I try to do this exercise, because it's not the first time that happened. It's been like going on for like a long time. And then I try to just think, it's something in her, and that helps me to, it helped me less time to get out of the place, thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
But even listening to someone's anger that has nothing to do with you, making sure that doesn't trigger anger thoughts in you just by listening to someone else's anger towards something else.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's contagious.
Yeah, that have nothing to do with any of it. Then you can be projecting your own stuff when somebody else is projecting theirs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What is he saying? Time is up?
Yes, but they have to invite us
They
back
don't
in.
realize they've muted us. We're here.
Yeah, they forgot about us.
Should we send a little
I think we have
chat?
to send a message in the chat. think now is our practice not to get angry.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, online people?
Yay!
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not yet.
no?
Not yet.
No, it's him.
We can hear
Oh,
you.
okay,
We can hear
okay,
you.
you can hear me? Okay.
I've
Yeah.
used
So-
that so they can talk amongst.
So I was just saying that it's so important that we do that, because then we kind of like learn so much, right, from other people as well, to say, oh, because they said that, and like, oh, I didn't think like that. Oh, I also think, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's another way of learning in Buddhism, right? We talk about ways of learning quite a lot. And one of them is, yeah, listening to the blah, 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 but but like reading, watching movie, watching like videos or whatever. But also then once we do it, it should also contemplate. And these discussion groups is some sort of contemplation, right? Because we are contemplating and say, oh yeah, oh, I can see that in my, and I always like to put it questions to, do you recognize? How do you see it? Not like about, oh yes, in general it's like this. No, no, but for you, like, oh, well, how it is for you, your experience, because that is the idea. Just for you, how does it make sense, right? And then, of course, meditation. The meditation is about familiarization. So we do meditation on anger. How do we do meditation on anger? We sit down and we think about it a moment that we were angry, right? We try to bring to mind that moment, and we try to not go into the story of that anger, right? We just try to recognize what, oh yes, I was feeling like this, I was feeling tense, I was feeling this, so we can start recognizing it, right? So we start when it happens, so we already recognize, we familiarize ourselves, so we recognize it. Then we start to understand the negative aspect. Oh yes, I can see it's really negative. I can see my fear, I can feel in me, blah, 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 blah. So we just go like that. This is meditation, right? Meditation is not about like, oh, just sit there and don't think about anything. Not like this. Quite the opposite. We use our own experience to transform it. We familiarizing ourselves with positive ways to deal with situations. That is what meditation is about in this school of Buddhism. Well, in Tibetan Buddhism. So what do we do? Then we try to put an antidote. Okay, so let's reframe this situation. If I would use patience, kindness, love, compassion, whatever. And then you start to do it. Like, think about it, right? And the more you think, the more you then next time it comes, you already know. You know that literally what happens in your brain is that you're creating neural pathways, right? That's what you're doing, which we are doing all the time, but normally not with good with good results. So we are taking control of our neural pathways. We're taking control of the mind into a way that is beneficial for ourselves. Yeah, that's the idea. So that's why I encourage you to continue exploring, anger, exploring death, exploring attachment as a way to familiarize. Okay? So we finish these classes with something that we call dedication. So dedication means that we were, the motivation, we kind of like created an intention in the beginning of the class. And that is very good. But if we just leave the intention there, to transform ourselves, to be good, to use this, what we said, but then we just leave it, then we come out of here and we keep being angry at people. That's not the idea, right? We try to keep with us, to go out with here with a dedication, with another intention to use what we heard, what we learned, what we experienced, what we exchanged in a way that can benefit others, right? That is the idea. So it's a kind of like a gratitude, let's call it like this. We're kind of like grateful for what we did and what we kind of, can continue to do now that we have tools, right? Now you guys have tools inside of you. Now it's not my responsibility anymore. You okay? Now it's with you guys. If you guys want to continue getting angry, okay. But you now have more tools. That's what we can do, right? So with that in mind, the online people, yeah, okay. We're gonna dedicate. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praises the best by the victorious one thus gone of the 3 times, so I might perform good works. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of perfect pure Losandrapa to shine forever. Probably for most of you, didn't make any sense what we just read, but that's fine. But that is the idea that we are saying, is that may we be able to continue learning and developing these kind of like teachings within ourselves so we can benefit others. That is the essence. Shall we do 246, please? 66666. No. 246. Yes. May all beings everywhere, made by suffering of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid of the little, with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I here remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Very beautiful, this. No? Kind of like an aspiration. Can you imagine if you would aspire to do that, to stop the misery of the world? Very special. So we should definitely kind of like this is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's favorite prayer. He does this prayer every day, and then we can see that that makes sense because he's a person that is trying to achieve this, right? So that's why now we do a long, long life prayer for the Dalai Lama. As a way, because he inspired us so much to be a better human being, that we just ask him to have a long life and continue helping us. That's the idea that we do. Okay? In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. So Tenzin Gyatso is the name of the Dalai Lama, and Chenrezig is the manifestation of the Buddha of compassion. So we say that he's a manifestation of compassion. So that's what we're calling him. And now we're going to do what we call a swift return prayer for our teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who without him we would not be here. Without Rinpoche, we would not exist as a place like this. But Rinpoche, during 45 years of his life, he tirelessly, like without a stop, Rinpoche didn't sleep. Okay, he never slept since he was 20. So he never fell asleep. He never kind of like lay down and sleep. Never. And I had the privilege to see that. Why? Because he said that his life was to dedicate for others. So he would get energy from that wish, and he doesn't need to sleep. So he was praying hours and hours, but also answering questions, because people used to send him letters, right? Asking about, oh, Rinpoche, how I can be better, how I can do this, what should I do? And he would go and spend his evenings from 1 to 6 a.m. writing letters, right? And it's just incredible that there is someone like that in the world. And I had the privilege to be with someone like this. So that's why we'd say that it's because of Rinpoche that a center like that exists. Because we got inspired and we said, we want people to be able to benefit from this, right? So a place like that doesn't exist without causes. So all the people that came before, all of you, right? That comes to the center. All of these, there's this interdependency, right? We need each other as a place for developing compassion, love, kindness, peace. So that's why we ask Rinpoche to come back, because we believe in reincarnation in Buddhism, right? We believe that the people can come back, and for Rinpoche not to forget his prayers, to say, please, Rinpoche, don't forget us and continue guiding us. That's the idea of the prayers. Okay? Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Pravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losam, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge in infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Buddhist precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you earn the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. So Zopa means patience. So he was called the teacher of patience. So that's why, Rinpoche used to give us incredible opportunities to practice patience. So that it was his kindness to us. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Sunday. You're invited to come at 1:30 if you want for the puja, okay, the prayers. Otherwise, on Mondays we are doing, tomorrow we have a meditation at 7:30 in the morning online. You don't need to come here. I'm not here. So at 7:30 in the and at 7 p.m. in the evening, we're also gonna do activities here to continue that day, to the day of the and then tomorrow at 5 in the morning. 5 in the morning for those that are hardcore wants to kind of like take one day vow, 24-hour vows to restrict a little bit your impulses, your refuges, outside refuges. We're going to do some what we call presets. Okay, so we take a 24-hour vows to say that we're only going to eat once that day. We're not going to sing, dance, go to Instagram, to all of this, so we don't kind of like let our minds go out. We're going to do that tomorrow, 5 a.m. for those online, okay? There's that one. And then Tuesdays, we have a teaching called the Path to Enlightenment. We're talking about how to get there, many meditations. On Thursdays, we are doing transforming the mind, mind transformation. So we're transforming our minds. And on Sundays, we have that. But next Saturday, we're going to have a day that is full day of preliminary practices. So to understand why there's all of these water balls, why these people are doing that, and why these people are putting kind of like making prostrations. What is it? All of these, as I said, there's meaning. So I'm going to try to explain some of these meanings next week.
And Sunday.
And Sunday we have
The animal.
Oh, it's on Sunday already? Yes. Sunday we're gonna do something very nice. We're gonna do what we call animal blessings or animal liberation as well. There's two aspects of this. So the first animal blessing means that if you have a pet or anything, that like right now they are not receiving many kind of like maybe kind of holy things or virtuous mind. They're just eating and sleeping. But then, we're going to be able to give them mantras. We're going to put them, kind of like blessed. We have all of these blessed things. I have things that were blessed by the Dalai Lama, right? So I'm going to kind of like be able to touch them so they can have good imprints, good habits, because they don't have that wish, to kind of like build good habits, but we can help them to build good habits. So we're going to do that. Or if you don't have a pet, but you see, you go to a bait shops, and they are like all of those crickets, worms, and all of that being like, the other day I saw these little kids going to fish, and they say, oh, we cannot fish here. And I said, yes, very good, because then they are like killing all of these animals without thinking, right? So then you can buy these, and we're gonna bless them as well, and then we're gonna put them away. We're gonna save them. We're gonna like release them, release them. Put them away. We're gonna release them in a place that they can survive. Okay, so that is on Sunday as well.
Here.
Yeah, we're gonna do it here, inside here. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen here. I don't know how, but we're gonna make it. Look at Jackson. We're gonna make it happen. So thank you so much. I'm so sorry, and I need to
Also,
wonderful
also,
Sunday.
Wait. Also, I just want to let everyone know, because people ask me all the time, like they come and they say, oh, this was so great, but they're not aware. We have a YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, you can see we have years and years worth of teachings on there. If you would like and subscribe, that's great. Also, I don't know.
Have a newsletter.
Yeah, we have a newsletter you can sign up for here. We don't inundate you with things. And also, I happen to look on our Google. We don't have that many reviews. So if you didn't like it, just don't bother. But if you did like it, if you want to leave a review or something, that would be really nice, because we want to be able to share with as many people as possible. But we've got so many things on YouTube.
Yes.
Someone goes to a lot of effort to put that on for us, and it's just amazing. So
The Zoom, for classes like in Zoom, when they can register in Zoom, it's very simple online when there's a class.
Yes, you can also do it online. You don't need to come here if it is far from you.
yes, yeah. So you can always join us via Zoom. Not always, usually, most of the classes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ian.
Have a wonderful week.
And we'll see you at 1:30 if you want to participate in the puja.
Yes.
It's the, children group,
May I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
My name is Angela.
15. Yeah.
You met me online. Yeah, no, I just started coming here for a couple of months.
Okay. You are online.
I was on camera, yeah.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
when you partnered.
Yes,
Yes, I remember. And you have a dog as well that
I
comes
do
to
have a dog.
the dog that comes to the center. That does the teaching. How are you?
So
Good.
great.
Oh, very nice to meet you.
You
Thank you so
changed
much.
everything. Like I just didn't get into all of this before, and you made it so perfect. I wanted to ask you, is there like I need a pretty rudimentary book.